The challenge in watching this video, the struggle, will be to not make it a political conversation. The struggle will to not leave a comment that is political, that is identifying you as conservative or liberal, Democrat or Republican. It's going to be a struggle to not make this conversation about that. That's why I'm starting this video with the disclaimer that if you do that, if you make this political, you've already lost. That's not what this video is about. I am politically neutral, so I don't care about a political perspective. What I'm wanting to do is to make an engaging video in which we talk about abortion from a non-political perspective. We don't reduce it to politics. We give this topic enough respect in the people who have dealt with it or are dealing with it, and we don't make it political. We don't reduce this to politics. That's what I care about. Now that I've got the 1 minute disclaimer out of the way, because that's very important to me, what I want to ask, what I want to present is the concept for people who have chosen to have an abortion. Can you tell me positively that that's not traumatized you, that it's not haunted you? That's my simple question. Here's my motivation. I live in Nashville, Tennessee, or I'm at least in the general area, and therefore there's a lot of country music exposure. And by default, even if you don't largely listen to country music, you're going to be exposed to it. So by default, do I like Tim McGraw? Yeah, of course. How can you not like Tim McGraw? Well, he has several greatest hits albums, but on one of them, I was exposed to a song called Ragtop. And it's a story that tells about a young couple that ended up, the girlfriend got pregnant, and they decided to have an abortion. You listen to this song, not many things emotionally affect me, but that song, every time I hear it, it does. To me, it's a perfectly written song. And you realize that the song has no preachy message in it. There's no political agenda. There's no religious agenda. It's simply telling the story of a couple who chose to have an abortion while they were young, and they moved on with their life. But ultimately, their life is never the same because of that decision, because you can't just walk away from something that big and not be affected by it. And that's not the only song that talks about abortion from more of a neutral point of view. I can think of Ben Folds 5, the song Brick. That's absolutely about abortion. There's the song The Freshman by the Verve. Same thing. It's a very neutral song about thinking back to when, from a male perspective, the abortion. So there's 3 songs right there. A song about abortion from a male perspective. Him sorting that out. And I can appreciate that. I can appreciate that there's not a political or religious message in any of those 3 songs I just named. And that's why I'm wanting to do the YouTube video version of that, because ultimately when I hear those songs, especially the one Ragtop by Tim McGraw, the takeaway is it did affect them. We can't pretend that if you have an abortion, whether you're the father or the mother, and I don't know if that's going to trigger anybody when I say that, because I'm saying father and mother as if it's an actual human being. And I'm not going to hide the fact that I myself am against abortion. With that being said, remember, I'm not a political guy. I'm not a Republican or Democrat, so it's not like I'm pushing an agenda there. I'm just saying on a personal level, forget about all politics, I'm opposed to abortion. With that being said, people still get abortions. And what I'm wondering is, who cares? This conversation is not about whether it should or shouldn't be illegal, or is or isn't, or was or will be. That doesn't matter. Here's the fact. People get abortions. People continue to live their lives a year after their abortion, 5 years, 10 years, 20, 30. What's it like to be that person who, whether you're the woman or the man, whether you were going to be a mother or a father had it not been for that abortion, how has your life been since then? Does it haunt you? Does it traumatize you? Do you think about it every day that you would have a child that would be however old? When you see other children that would be that age, do you think about that, and does it negatively affect you? That's my question. This is not a political or religious video at all. And if the comments become that, you're wasting your time. You're missing the whole point. You're not engaging in the conversation that the whole intent of this is to be. What I'm wondering is, do people get abortions and are just not negatively affected by it? They truly live their lives and it just doesn't bother them anymore. That there's just no sense of regret. You just live your life and there's no regrets. That's something I wonder. Here's what it reminds me of. I run another channel, another YouTube channel. It's my name, Nick Shell. It's a mentorship program for younger guys that are freaking out that they might be balding. Whether they are or not, they're freaking out that they are. And one of the things I've realized demographically with most of them, and most of them are young, by the way. Can you imagine a guy who's almost 40 who's not noticeably balding is running a hair loss channel who, to younger guys who fear that they might be balding, and most of my viewers are young, not my age. So there's a lot of irony there, I admit it. But something I've learned about them is most of them are heavily involved in pornography. They tell me all the time that they're involved in pornography on a daily basis and that basically they're addicted to it. And they confess this to me. And I realize there's a connection there between men being exposed to constant pornography, whether it's their tablet, laptop, computer, whatever it is. That's a different generation that's grown up with an infinite amount of pornography, unlike my own generation, where guys my age, when we were teenagers, it was a matter of you try to go get a magazine. Personally speaking, I chose never to be involved in pornography because I knew that it was toxic to the mind. Forget about religion, forget about politics. I noticed that there would be a psychological reaction in me if I exposed myself to pornography, so I chose not to, and I've remained faithful to that. I've had no interest. It's been no struggle. It's been no temptation. It's not been something that I want to do because I recognized that some people get so caught up in the political or religious perspective of it that that's all it becomes reduced to. So yes, young men are being negatively affected, psychologically and socially affected by all this exposure to pornography that every generation before them has not had access to. So I address that from a non-religious point of view or non-political point of view, and that's what I'm trying to do with abortion. Can we have a conversation where we sort this out? Is there such a thing as someone having an abortion or being involved or being the male involved in it? When an abortion takes place, you're part of that couple, whether the man or the woman, you have the abortion, it's 5 years later, 10 years later, you move on with your life and you look back on that and think, that was the right thing to do. I don't regret it. I'm not traumatized by it. I would do it again if I would make the same choice. Can you truly escape from that unscathed is my answer. That's what I want to know. And I would recommend, if you haven't heard Tim McGraw's song, Ragtop, that you would listen to the song. I just feel that it perfectly reflects what I'm trying to do in this. I'm closing the video by asking you to have this conversation with me from an emotionally intelligent point of view. If you leave a comment that is reducing any of this to politics on whether abortion should be legal or not, and talking about Republicans, Democrats, conservative Republicans, all that, you've missed the whole point. I don't care about that. That is not relevant anymore. This conversation, extracting the term abortion from religion and from politics, That's relevant. That's the conversation I want to have. Can we do that? Comments belong right here.